I know it's a lot of people that live in Georgia that watch this channel. Is it any Georgia Southern fans? They're not ranked, but they're playing a ranked team this week. And they're close to being ranked themselves, Georgia Southern. So I'm going to talk about Georgia Southern for the first time today. And hey, remember when Clemson and Florida State used to be one of the biggest games of the year? Yeah, barely, me too. They play this weekend, we'll talk about that. And is Texas gonna slip up on the road at Oklahoma State? We're gonna talk about those games and every other game this weekend involving a ranked team in today's video, and that starts right now.
I see you lingering around like a bad idea.
You idiot Florida fans only have a couple more days to run your mouth at Uncle Lou this season before Georgia shuts you up on Saturday. And yes, tomorrow the video will be coming, probably around noon or 1 o'clock, and I'll explain to you why. But that'll be tomorrow. No trash talking today. Maybe a little bit of trash talking today. But yeah, we're going to do the preview and prediction video today for all the top 25 teams. We do this video every week. Let me apologize for not making a video yesterday. I don't have any excuse or reason of why I didn't. I'm just going to be honest with you. I wanted to take a day off. I was wore out, a little burnt out. This is a bad week to be burnt out. Should have been burnt out last week when Georgia didn't play. But anyway, what do people call it? I took a mental health day yesterday. Yeah, that's what I did. So I didn't do the live show, didn't upload a video. I apologize. I will make it up. I'll get the 2 more prediction videos that come out. Will still come out. We got this one now. I'll have a second one. Tomorrow will be the Georgia-Florida. Come get you some video. We will have the live show tonight at 10, live show tomorrow at 3, live show Saturday morning at 9. Don't forget, too, if you're a Patreon member, and I'm going to mention this several times over the next couple of days, if you're a Patreon member, I'm going to live stream the first half of the Georgia-Florida game. Not the game. I can't show that. YouTube will shut me down. Google will shut me down. But I'm gonna do a live stream during the first half of the Georgia-Florida game for all the Patreon members. So if you're not at the game, if you're at home watching the game and you want to watch it along with me, tune into LouTube, 3:30 Saturday afternoon. I'm gonna sit out here and watch the first half of the game, talk with you guys about the game. You can see me go nuts. Hopefully you can see me get excited and not see me get mad. But we'll see how that goes. But in any case, that's for all the Patreon members, Saturday at 3:30. All right, as usual, this prediction video is sponsored by the good people over at betnow.eu. There's a link in the description of this video. Click that link. It'll take you over there. They're going to get you set up for all your college football betting needs for the entire season. They've even given me a promo code to let you guys use. So when you get signed up over there, make sure you enter the promo code Uncle Lou. That's one word, and it's all lowercase letters, Uncle Lou. And they're going to set you up with a 100% bonus on whatever you deposit. Good luck. All right, here we go. And we're going to start out with some games tonight. There's a couple of good games tonight involving ranked teams. 7 o'clock over on FS1, you got Baylor on the road at West Virginia. West Virginia, of course, sitting on the 1 loss. They took to Iowa State a couple of weeks back, so they're 5-1. Baylor's 4-3, losses to Duke, Texas, and Oklahoma. Baylor is really the stereotypical, prototypical, whatever you want to call it, Big 12 team. They put up a lot of offensive numbers. They don't even try to play defense at all. West Virginia, surprisingly to me and to a lot of people, I think, their defense has played a lot better than what I think people thought. They definitely have one of the best 3 or 4 defenses in the Big 12 without question. West Virginia's a 13.5-point favorite here. if West Virginia was playing on the road, I'd probably take Baylor. These Thursday, Friday night games, I talk about this all the time, but these Thursday, Friday night games, these games that aren't on the normal day of Saturday, weird things happen in these games, but it usually involves a ranked team playing on the road. Think about Clemson at Syracuse last year. Miami lost to Pitt on a Friday last year on the road. So West Virginia, in my mind, is lucky to have this game at home this week. I think they'll win. I think they'll win comfortably. I love numbers that are just over or under a touchdown number. So 13.5 is just under the mark of 2 touchdowns. So if you're looking to take West Virginia, that's a good number to take. That's what I'm going to do. I think West Virginia rolls in this game. Will Grier looking to kick off the back end of his Heisman campaign starting this week, and he's going to have a couple opportunities to really impress down the road. West Virginia still has games against Texas and Oklahoma left, both of which top 10/15 teams, depending on which poll you look at. So Will Grier, name been in Heisman consideration all year long. He's going to have an opportunity to really prove himself over the next month. Starting tonight, I think, national television, Fox Sports 1, for those of you that can even find that on your TV. Baylor at West Virginia, 7 o'clock, Fox Sports 1. Give me the Mountaineers at home. I'll lay to 13.5. How about Georgia Southern now? Now, they're not the ranked team here. They're hosting App State. App State, of course, lost week 1 in overtime on the road in Happy Valley at Penn State, right? Well, they've reeled off a bunch of wins since then. They sit at, they're 5-1. Georgia Southern is 6-1. Georgia Southern's only loss is to Clemson. So you got 2 one-loss teams here, right? Who one of them lost to Penn State, one of them lost to Clemson. Other than that, these 2 teams have ran through their schedule here. This one comes on 7:30 on ESPNU. I'm going to watch some of this game. I'm interested in the West Virginia game too, but I'm going to watch some of this one. Number 25, App State on the road at Georgia Southern. I'm going to take Georgia Southern in this one. A little bit of a homer move here, but listen, when I was talking about Baylor, West Virginia, I said, listen, lucky West Virginia's at home. Weird things happen on these weekday games. Here's a weekday game with a ranked team going on the road to play a really good, surprisingly good Georgia Southern team. I think 10 points is too much here. A little bit of homer coming out in me here. My dad went to Georgia Southern. I'm going to take Georgia Southern here. Give me the 10 points. This is going to be a good game. All right, we even got some Friday games involving ranked teams this week. So listen, starting today, you've got great games today, tomorrow, and Saturday. This is a great weekend of college football here. But you've got Utah on the road at UCLA. Wait a minute, this is tonight too. No, this is tomorrow, 10:30 on ESPN. Utah's a 10.5-point favorite. UCLA, terrible. But they have won their last 2 games, though, over Cal and Arizona. So nothing really to beat your chest about, but let's be real, when you start out 0-5, you'll take any 2 wins you can get. So UCLA sitting on a 2-game winning streak. They're at home. They host Utah. Utah's been a pretty good team this year. They're 5-2 with the 2 losses coming to Washington and Washington State, 2 of the better teams in the Pac-12. Washington State, of course, the leader in the Pac-12. Right now, everybody chasing them. 10.5-point favorite. I'm going to take the home team again here. I'm telling you, with these weeknight games, weird things happen. Now, this doesn't mean that it's guaranteed or anything like that. It tends to happen more times than not. UCLA appears to be on somewhat of a roll, playing with some confidence finally. Maybe the players are finally starting to understand Chip Kelly's system a little bit better now that we're about halfway through the season, a little more than halfway. So I'm going to take the Bruins here at home. I do think Utah will win. They're a legitimately good team, I think. But I'm going to take the Bruins to keep this one closer than the 10.5. Give me UCLA and the points. All right, we're going to move on to the Saturday games now. And up first at noon on ABC, Florida State hosts Clemson. Clemson ranks 2nd and comes into this game as a 16.5-point road favorite. That's too many points. Florida State started off terrible. I couldn't agree more. They looked lost. They looked confused. It looked like, people were scratching their head like, oh my God, it's Willie Taggart. We've made a huge mistake. Well, they've won 3 of their last 4 games, and their only loss, Florida State, was to Miami. And they led that game for 3.5 quarters, if you guys remember. What was that, about a month ago now? They led that game for most of the way. Easily could have won that game. So they're sitting at 4-3. Clemson, of course, 7-0. Clemson has looked good the last couple of weeks with Trevor Lawrence. He's put up some pretty good numbers, threw for 300 yards last week in a dominating win over previously undefeated NC State. But he's still a freshman, right, Trevor Lawrence? And this is going to be something he's never seen, a really, really hostile road crowd. Now, I know he played at Texas A&M, but if you remember that game at Texas A&M, it didn't go too well for Trevor Lawrence. And actually, had it not been for Kelly Bryant, I really believe Clemson would have lost that game to Texas A&M. I've talked about that a couple of times before, but Lawrence and the Clemson offense were shaky in that game. Kelly Bryant came in, kind of settled things down, scored a touchdown for him there that really helped at the end. We'll see how Trevor Lawrence responds here in this atmosphere. Huge rivalry game within the ACC the last 4 or 5 years. Both of these teams winning a national title in the last few years. This is going to be a good game, I think. 16.5, I think that's too many points. Obviously, Clemson is the better team, and I would be absolutely shocked if Clemson lost this game. They've got a great defense, and their running game has really been what surprised me over the last couple of weeks. So, maybe that takes some pressure off of Trevor Lawrence in this game. But I like Florida State's defense. I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence in this game. I think he'll be running for his life on more than one occasion here. Of course, the problem is Florida State's quarterback's going to be doing the same for the entire game. Their offensive line is really, really bad. I'm going to roll the dice and take a bad Florida State team here at home, but I need those 16.5 points. All right, also at 12, you got Wisconsin on the road at Northwestern. This one comes on Fox. Wisconsin's a 6.5 point favorite in this one. I'll take Wisconsin. Been a little disappointed in Wisconsin, but they still have one of the best running backs in America. They still have one of the best offensive lines in America, and they still have a pretty good defense. And Northwestern has been an absolutely terrible team at home this year, and an average team even on the road. 6.5 points, under a touchdown. Give me the Badgers on the road. All right, how about Kansas State on the road at Oklahoma? Week 2 of that new defense they debuted last week. Boy, Oklahoma fans got all kinds of mad when I pointed out that TCU scored 27 points on them. And won't cry in the comment section. Oh, one was a special teams touchdown? One was a special teams touchdown. Oh, but we held them to 275 yards. Yeah, congratulations, I guess. I don't know. The point I made in that video is still true, though. And one of my favorite sayings of all time, just because something makes you mad doesn't mean it's not true. And all I said in that video was that you gave up more points to TCU than they've scored in a month. And that's still true today, just like it was true when I said it. So anyway, defense can't get any worse from Stoops, though. Let's just be real. So congratulations on that. Oklahoma's got some issues at the running back position with injuries. Hate to see that. Oklahoma's offense just way too much here, especially at home. Kansas State's not a good team. Did a preview on them in the offseason. I think I had them winning 5 games. Looks like that's about where they'll finish up this year, too. Caught a lot of heat, too. Not just from Kansas State fans, but just Big 12. I don't understand. You know what it is? The Big 12 is so terrible that they take these average teams or average storylines and try to blow them up to make them more than they are, right? Listen to the Big 12 fan tell you about Skeletor, this Bill Snyder at Kansas. They tell you he's one of the greatest coaches ever. And listen, I'm happy for the guy. He's been there for 45 years. I mean, when he first started coaching at Kansas State, they were wearing leather helmets. So he's longevity, if nothing else. But Kansas State just not a good team, and it's not hard to win at Iowa State. I don't understand this thing with Big 12 fans where they think Bill Snyder, the Skeletor of college football there, they think he's the greatest coach ever, and they think it's hard to win at Iowa. It just makes no sense. But with that being said, this game's at Oklahoma. I think Kyler Murray will roll. Defense will keep Kansas State in check. Like I said, they're not any good. 24.5 is a lot of points. I think Oklahoma wins by more than that. Give me the home team. I'll lay to 24.5. All right, Iowa plays at Penn State, 3:30 on ESPN. Penn State's 5-2 and a 7-point favorite. What's Iowa's record? Yeah, I know you don't know. It's 6-1. Where'd that come from? I don't know. But they're 6-1, only losses to Wisconsin, and they're 6-1 against the spread too. So they're overperforming this year versus their week-to-week expectations. Penn State, of course, 5-2 with losses to Ohio State and Michigan State. If this game was at Iowa, I would 100% take Iowa without even having to think about it. It's at Penn State. Penn State tends to play pretty well at home, except for week 1 against App State, but they played Ohio State close. I think Penn State's a little demoralized right now. They're sort of painted into a corner, but, I mean, let's be real. The wheels would have to fall off within the Big Ten East for Penn State to have any chance to win the division or anything meaningful this year, and I don't see that happening. It's going to be either Michigan or Ohio State out of that side, in my opinion. I'm going to take the road team here. This is not a very safe pick here, 7 points. I'll take the 7. I have a feeling Iowa can keep it closer than that. But I don't really feel good about this one way or the other. I probably wouldn't take this one, but you guys cry like no other if I don't actually make a pick on every game. So give me Iowa and the 7 points. Upset alert. Upset alert. Not really, though. South Florida's ranked 21st. They're 7-0. They're on the road at Houston. Houston's a 7.5-point favorite. For good reason when you start looking into why. Houston's 6-1. Their only loss is to Texas Tech. Oh, this one's 3:30, either ABC or ESPN2, depending on where you live. South Florida, look at this, 7-0. Their last 5 wins have been by 8 points or less. One-score games, okay? That's the last 5. Even if you go back to the game before that, they won by 11. They're not blowing people out. They're not Central Florida. They're not. They're just not. I'm taking Houston here. I think they win by more than 7.5. I love Ed Oliver. I think he's one of the best defensive players in America that doesn't get enough recognition. Yes, people talk about him, but I think he's a top 5 pick. I think he's that good. People want to talk about Bosa. Bosa's a quitter. I don't see Ed Oliver quitting. Okay, Nick Bosa. He's sitting in a Barca-lounger somewhere with his feet up in the air right now, eating popcorn, while Ohio State is busy getting scored on again by Purdue. Ed Oliver's busy sacking quarterbacks and getting tackles for loss like it's his part-time job. I'm going to take the home team here. Give me Houston. I think they'll win outright, or I think they'll win by more than the 7.5. I think South Florida's been skating by some close wins. I think it catches up with them this week, and Houston gets them. All right, 6:30 over on FS1, Fox Sports 1. Washington goes on the road to Cal. Washington, of course, ranked 15th. They're 11.5-point favorite in this one. They're 6-2. Losses to Auburn and Oregon. Cal's 4-3. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Oregon State is the only win they've had in out of the last 4 games, and Oregon State's a 1-win team. They're terrible. I'm going to take Washington here. Washington is a team sort of like Penn State. It's pretty much over if you're a Washington fan in terms of a playoff or a Pac-12 title or anything like that. But so they may be a little demoralized here. They got to go on the road to Cal. I just don't see it happening here for Cal. Washington is just a way more talented team on both sides of the ball than Cal is. 11.5 is a little high. 9.5 sure would be a lot better, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. I'm going to take the Huskies, though, on the road. I could see them winning this game by 2 touchdowns or more. So, yeah, Washington and Lady 11.5 and 2. One of the most surprising teams in college football this year, in my opinion, Washington State. They're 6-1, ranked 14th, only losses to Southern Cal. They go on the road to play Stanford. Stanford's ranked 24th, okay, and they sit at 5-2. What happened to Bryce Love? Yes, I know he's injured, but and this is what I said in the offseason. He's got to be wishing he would have went pro after last year. He hasn't done anything to improve his stock this year, that's for sure. He's got less than 350 yards for the year. I don't know about this Bryce Love. He's really fallen off the map here, and Stanford kind of one-dimensional. Without him, they're just not the same team. He's been hobbled all year. Hasn't looked like the old Bryce Love. Washington State is on a roll. Now, they had an emotional win last week. College game day was there. Could they have a letdown on the road at Stanford? Yes, they could easily have a letdown on the road at Stanford. I've been proved wrong a couple of times this year about Mike Leach and Washington State, and I really just don't want to be proved wrong again. If I'm going to miss on this game, I'd rather go with Washington State and be wrong than look like an idiot by picking against Washington State again and being wrong again. Sort of the opposite of what I'm doing with Kentucky. Kentucky fans mad as hell at Uncle Lou, ain't they? Keep picking against Kentucky. Well, cover a spread then. Hell, I picked Kentucky last week to cover the spread and they didn't. So I don't know why y'all are mad at me. I'm mad at you! But anyway, Kentucky, of course, losing this week and next week. No sense talking anymore about them. But Washington State on the road at Stanford. Stanford 3-point favorite. I'm going to take Washington State. I think they win the game outright. They look like the better team. I mean, they beat a good Oregon team. Wasn't it Oregon? I think it was Oregon. Who'd they beat last week? Oregon or it's either Oregon or Washington. These days are running together. Too many videos. But in any case, they've made a believer out of me. I'm a little bit worried of the turnaround after an emotional win and going on the road. Stanford something's wrong with Stanford. I still like David Shaw, but something's just off there. Give me Washington State here. I'll take the 3 points, but I think they win outright. Yeah, give me Washington State. All right, NC State has to turn around after a beating last week and go on the road to play a pretty good Syracuse team. Of course, NC State was undefeated coming into the game last week against Clemson. High expectations. Really went off the rails. They was it 41-7, something like that. They just got absolutely dominated. But they're ranked 22nd, and they're a 2.5-point road favorite this week against Syracuse. So NC State sits at 5-1. Clemson their only loss. Syracuse 5-2, not a bad team. They also lost to Clemson in a close game, real close game, way closer than the NC State game. That was the game Kelly Bryant had quit like 2 days before that game. Trevor Lawrence got hurt early in that game. It was a real scare for Clemson, but they pulled it out. That was really the start of the running back situation for Clemson with the Edion, or whatever his name is. Is he French? I don't know. Freedom fries. But that running back for Clemson, that was really where he started to pick up steam for the year. But Syracuse 5-2 lost to the Taters, and a head-scratching loss really to Pitt. I'm going to take the home team here. NC State a little demoralized, start off 5-0, get blown out last week. Give me the Orange Man, or the Orange Men, or the Orange Menses at home to win this game. I'll take the 2.5, but I expect them to win this game outright. This one's 7 o'clock on ESPN2, by the way. It's a pretty evenly matched game here. This one really could go either way, but I'm going to take Syracuse at home. All right, all the Notre Dame haters, mount up. Neutral site game versus Navy. This one in San Diego? I think so. 8 o'clock on CBS. Notre Dame's a 24-point favorite in this one. They're 7-0. Navy's 2-5. Bad news for Navy. Well, a lot of bad. I mean, you're 2-5. That's bad news. You got to play Notre Dame. That's bad news. More bad news. Notre Dame only gives up 126 yards a game on the ground on average this season. Good luck, Navy. You're going to need it. 24 points, not enough. Notre Dame could win this game as much as they want. Maybe they take it easy on them because they're service academy. And, of course, I'm not going to trash talk Navy or Army or any of those teams. Notre Dame just way, way, way too talented for Navy. I'll take the Fighting Irish, and I'll lay the 24 here. All right, now we just got 2 late games here. The 8 o'clock ABC game, number 6 Texas on the road at Oklahoma State. Texas is a 3-point favorite in this one. They come into this game 6-1, won 6 straight games following an opening day loss to Maryland. Don't get me started on that. Oklahoma State kind of disappointing, up and down this year, 4-3, kind of beating who you think they'll beat, losing to who you think they'll lose to, that kind of thing. Texas clearly the better team here. 2 things that worry me here if you're a Texas fan. Number 1, this is on the road. And Oklahoma State does have some playmakers on offense. Now, Texas, probably the best defense in the Big 12. But the thing that really worries me here about this Texas game, you got to play West Virginia next week. And that is a huge, huge game. Texas had a bye last week. Gives them a week to get over that big emotional Oklahoma win. Little extra preparation time for Oklahoma State. Texas has just bitten me so many times the last 2 years. I'm going to roll the dice again. Give me the Longhorns on the road to get a big win, lay to 3 points. All right, go to sleep early if you want to. Oregon at Arizona, 10:30 on ESPN. Oregon ranked 19th. They're a 9-point favorite. Give me Oregon in the 9 points. Kevin Sumlin, what are you doing? A huge disappointment. You've ruined Khalil Tate. I mean, I haven't heard Khalil Tate's name mentioned since the season started, other than people talking about what a disappointment he's been. Kevin Sumlin. Listen, Texas A&M is looking like a genius right now for getting rid of him and bringing in Jimbo Fisher. Texas A&M on a roll at 5-2. Arizona can't get out of their own way. And Kevin Sumlin in 1 year has taken their best player and made him almost non-existent and a non-factor in most games. Oregon, disappointing loss. 2 disappointing losses really this year. Matters not. The Ducks, way more talented than the Wildcats. Yes, it's on the road. I really don't care. I think Oregon blows them out. Give me the Ducks, lay the 9. All right, then, that's it for the top 25 preview video. I will do one more preview and prediction video where I will cover teams that are not ranked, but the games are still interesting to me for one reason or another. Of course, I did an SEC preview on Tuesday. You can click back and check that video out. All the top 25 teams were covered today in this video, and I'll do one more for the rest of the games this week that are interesting for one reason or another. Check out the live shows. What's today? Thursday? So the live show scheduled for the rest of this week. Live show Thursday night, tonight, 10 p.m. call-in show. Live show tomorrow, Friday, 3 p.m. call-in show. Live show Saturday morning, 9 a.m. College Game Day Live, Watch with Lou. It'll be a good one this week, too, because they're actually at the Georgia game this week down in Jacksonville for the big cocktail party, Georgia-Florida game. So we'll do that at 9 a.m. Saturday morning. And then the first half of the Georgia-Florida game, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I will be live streaming the first half of the Georgia-Florida game for Patreon members only. So what I'll do is once I start the stream, I'll post the link to the video over on the Patreon page. I know there were some issues with it last time. We'll make sure we get that worked out this time so all the Patreon members can join. Anyway, stay tuned tomorrow. Georgia-Florida video. I got a couple of messages for these Florida fans. But until then, though, Make sure if you can, find a way, I don't know. Have a good morning.